All righty.
Slow down, you move too fast. Gotta make the morning last. Kicking down cobblestones. Looking for fun, feeling groovy. Da 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 dum, groovy.
Good. I'm glad you know that song.
Love that song. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's my granddaughter singing all this. She's got a beautiful voice besides her improv. So,
she does. She has a lovely
showcasing,
voice.
yeah, showcasing the family. Anyway, there you are, Sandy. I didn't know where you were. Okay, well, welcome everybody to the bridge. Good morning.
Sometimes I don't know where I am either. That's
And this is episode 78, and we have Sage Justice with us today. She's going to tell us all about who she is and what she does. But Sandy, you've got a quote for us first.
okay. Our quote is from Serena Williams. She's the tennis star. She said, "You have to believe when no one else does." So sometimes it can be a little bit dark. There may not be a cheering section on your side, but you have to go forward believing that you know what you're doing.
Okay, yeah, that's
Absolutely.
very true. So, Sage, welcome, welcome.
Thank
We're
you.
so glad you're with us, and we want to hear. Start us off wherever you want to on your journey, and who you are and what you do.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I am an author, the author of actually this book. Since we're talking about improv, I do have actually a chapter in here on improv.
Oh,
So this is
good.
Okay.
Sage Words Freedom, Book One, and we use in the chapter it talks about how we use it in our family,
Uh-huh.
and connecting as a family.
Awesome.
Um, I am a performing artist. I've had two solo shows, and I'm just starting to work on a third. And those have been the first one was in Los Angeles. It was called Simply Complicated Life, and it was about the resilience of the human spirit.
Awesome.
And the second show was entitled "To Breed or Not to Breed," and that was at Madison Square Garden in NYC. And I what I did was I spent a year or so interviewing and creating characters from 50 different women around the globe
Oh,
to get their.
Oh,
It
wow.
was yeah, really exciting, and I'm just revisiting it right now. So it's very moving to go back to this and listen to these women. So they ranged in age from I think late teens all the way up to in a woman in their 90s. Many were based on real women there, and it's their real stories about how motherhood and reproductive freedom or the lack thereof affects them personally, impacts them politically, socially, and personally. So the third show is, and it's in its very early stages. So I'm a little reticent to say too much because it could change.
yeah.
But the rough idea that I've been proposing is just something to focus on, very much the theme of your show, being a bridge. Of the world is so divided right now,
Right.
and I grew up in a multi-generational home, primarily raised by my grandparents. But for the first 12 years of my life, I was kind of bounced around to different generations, different families. And in that, I was exposed to all of the um, polarized differences, excuse me. So, Democrats and Republicans,
Mhm.
religious and atheist, um, financially stable and secure, and severely impoverished. So, having that perspective and being the one who was in the middle drew me to this place of not so much to be a peacekeeper, but to be a bridge maker,
Yeah.
to allow people to stay who they are,
Yeah.
but to create a ground of understandings and acceptance so that everyone could find something. So now what I'm working on are characters who tell that who are telling stories that everyone can relate to because they're human stories.
Right.
And so that hopefully in doing that, we can see ourselves more in each other.
Mhm.
And wouldn't that be wonderful to like, you know, just love every human being because they're your human sibling on this planet at this time, and to not need to know someone's political beliefs before you decide to help them.
Yeah.
Right.
I love it. I love it. And we've got several other people working on different performing arts and, you know, and books. And you just sound like such a wonderful creative person. And what we're finding is the heart of leadership and humanness is presence. Being,
Yes.
you know, and really listening, not coming in with my agenda, but listening, and then find a bridge to cross. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. You're just so perfect for this
Oh,
time to come on for us.
thank you.
I have a question because so you're a performing artist. You perform. So are you? Tell me the format of your performances. Are you? Because it
Sure.
sounds like you're performing your content.
Yes. So my inspirations, and I mean, I'm going to go back way back here. So hopefully, I don't know if you'll know these, but a man named Spalding Gray, he was one of the first inspirations, the first one-man show I saw, and that was probably in the early '80s. And then, of course, Carol Burnett. So I grew up with, you know, she
Yeah.
was my idol.
Yeah.
So I had Carol Burnett and Lily Tomlin and Spalding Gray,
Yeah.
and then Whoopi Goldberg
Mhm.
started doing her shows, and then Tracy Ullman. And Tracy Ullman from the UK,
Yeah.
and what she did, she took it to another level of, well, actually, I think Lily Tomlin did this as well, but Tracy Ullman had her own show for a while where she had a lot of prosthetics, and she really became these different characters from every ethnicity and gender. And that was so appealing to me, you know. And I was just talking to my husband last night about this when I was about 5 years old the first time, you know, at a kind of educational situation where they said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And, you know, and different kids were saying, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a firefighter. And I said, I want to be everything. Which is kind of the theme of my life. I want to experience
Right.
everything. And so I said, you know, I had already gotten the acting bug by then, by age 2. So I knew, I felt like if I were an actor, I could be everything.
Right.
The challenge today is because we of politically correctness, which has its place. You know, I always want to be sensitive.
Mhm.
Um, I never want to offend anyone. But now what I used to do, I can't do anymore,
Right.
because if I portray people of color or of a different accent, because I that was kind of what I specialized in. So I had a character from Asia, you know, a
Mhm.
few different characters from Africa, a few different characters from India, both the West Indies and Native American Indian. And now, if I do that, because it's emotional, because I went, like I said, I was recently going back to my work. I love these women. I I admire them. I portrayed them so that I could represent them. So
Right.
I wasn't just representing white people's stories, you know? But now I can't do it in the same way.
Yeah.
And because if I did, I fear I would be, people would be offended. We're
Yeah.
just in a different time. So the format was kind of that, to answer your question. And it had a crossover with poetry, you know, spoken word poetry,
Mhm.
stand-up comedy, and musical theater, because I always have a song, you know, in there somewhere. Some character sings a song. And so essentially, you know, come out on the stage, usually as one of the characters, who then explains to the audience that they're going to meet a lot of different people. And so there's two different formats. There's the live theater format and then the film version. For live theater, I'll, you know, step out on the stage just like any performance. But the performance is because I performed at so many different types of venues. I had a 15-minute script, a 30-minute script, a 60-minute script, and a 90-minute script. And you come out and I stand there, I'm one character, and maybe every 2 to 3 minutes I just turn around or do a different body movement and become the next character.
Oh, wow. Wow. So do you ever include the audience at all, like that live improv stuff?
I always do my best to do that. Yeah, the last show, the first character, she engages with the audience right away. And so she was a little confused. She saw a pile of these fancy red wrapped things that she thought were like mints, and they happened to be condoms that were being passed out for. And so
Whoops.
She was a conservative Christian, and she thought she was doing something nice, passing them out to the audience, thinking it's a mint. And then she discovers that what they really are. And so she and the audience get to kind of experience this together. So yeah, I try to always start off. And there's almost always a heckler, in every situation, because it can be so interactive. And when you, I would say half of the characters are comedic and half are dramatic. In fact, again, when I went back recently, I was thinking, I couldn't do this today because the attention span has changed. And like one of the characters, it's based on a real woman. Her name was Saint Catherine, a wonderful doctor who was Australian, but she spent most of her time in Ethiopia helping young girls who had a medical condition called fistulas, which were caused because they were brides at age 9, age 10, forced to be these brides. So they would get these terrible injuries, and she fixed them. This was her life's mission. And her piece was about 7 minutes long, a 7-minute monologue. It was taken directly from an interview that I think she did with Barbara Walters years ago. So I really studied her voice inflections, her mannerisms, her body language, and when she got emotional. And I was listening to, this was an audio recording that I had done for, would do like a college tour, perform at colleges. And when her monologue was happening, you could hear the audience very uncomfortable, shifting in their chairs, a couple people I heard stand up and walk away. And I never noticed that before because I was so present, like you're saying, in the moment. I'm telling her story. But now that would have to be shortened to 2 minutes because I just don't think people have the same attention spans.
You're right. They don't. Oh, that's fabulous. I'm reading a book right now. I think.
So Sage, you were talking about how things didn't do now that you were able to do years ago. Is there a way for you to frame it at the very beginning to let them know that you're doing this with respect and care so that you can still have your material be your material and preempt it with letting them know, oh, this is done in the spirit of love and collaboration for these ladies or these people? I'm wondering if there's a way for you to set the stage so that you don't have to try to walk on eggshells to try to figure out what you can say and share. Because one of the things I find in our society right now is that we have, remember how, I don't know if you were a kid, but I remember on your shoulder wanting somebody to knock off your block kind of thing, going around with an attitude so that you could be upset about something. And I think our society, unfortunately, has gone there, but it doesn't mean that we should be staying there. And how do we change that? I
agree.
Paradigm? How do we make a paradigm shift and make it so that we're not going to be outraged? And no matter who your audience is, there's always going to be somebody that's going to be upset about it, right?
The college audience might be the most challenging for the attention span. I'm reading a book right now. I don't know if you're familiar. The guy's name is Matthew Dix, and his book is called Storyworthy, and he has I think it's Moth something. It's the stand-up comedy place somewhere.
Yeah.
but it's interesting because he breaks down how he comes up with stories and how to make them really good. And it sounds like you do that quite
Oh, thank
naturally.
you. Well, I
That's
appreciate that.
yeah.
Yeah, the Moth Radio Hour. I have
Yeah.
another friend who does that. To answer your question, Sandy, which I do think is a great question, and I talked to one of the directors this time last year. I was in France at an artist and writers residency, which was wonderful, and where I brought this up to the director because you work on a project and then at the end, you perform your new material. And her advice at that time was, well, there's some comedians who just get up and they say, I don't care if you're going to be offended. And maybe they have enough clout that they can do that. And maybe there'll come a time when I do. I think at this point, I just don't have that authority. And when I ask the people that are in my industry, they all tell me, like for example, one of the choreographers I worked with, and he's a great performer as well. He believes that, I mean, he's been in the business for years, as long as I have. And his belief is now that only gay people can be gay characters, or only this. So, and that's not my belief. I became an actor, like I said, so I want to be everyone.
Yeah.
And I think that, but I understand it's kind of a DEI, to allow the people who actually are disabled to play disabled characters, those who are gay to play gay characters, so that it's not just one group of people. So I really do understand. And I do think that we'll get there. And I keep dipping my toe in the water, like to, see if I could do it. And there might come an audience. But here's the thing is, number one, a lot of stuff that I write and perform is very edgy and controversial. It is, it pushes back. George Carlin, is my hero. And so, but the way that Lily Tomlin, would present herself, that's more of my style. So I'm trying to combine these two amazing people, but with my own spirit as well, which I think when people know me, they know my heart, they know my intention. But if they don't know me and they come in and they just, and with social media and the attention span and cancel culture, which is so devastating. So yeah. And again, not to go be talking about the book so much, but I just want to say, I do talk about, instead of cancel culture, how about call in culture? How about we just treat each other as siblings who make a mistake and who just need a gentle, empathetic reminder that to be human is to be imperfect, right? So we're all going to make mistakes. And instead of holding people to impossible standards and canceling them, why can't we just call them into right action?
Yeah, right. And what, there's the two sides to this coin that you're talking about. You might be framing people's thought if you recurse what you say with some, justification or whatever. Or you can just see if it makes an impact without saying, you know what I mean? And it would be hard to decide which to do, but I like the idea of, the call in, causing people to be accountable. But I know I always found in any of the diverse classes that I taught, the bigger I go and talk about who you are and what are your traits and, leadership and, come in from the top, then that includes people and they can start thinking about, oh, well, gee, I was courageous then, or, I was resilient here. And it calls them, call them from here so that we can all be one human family. That makes sense. And it seems to join people more than divide them. But you are on quite a mission, girl.
Yes.
I love it.
We talked about a book study that we talked about a book study that we were doing yesterday, Let Them by Mel Robbins. Did I get that right? And talking about how important it is to find our commonality instead of focusing on our differences. I think that's what the problem is that we've had this deeper and deeper. And I think if we can turn that around and say what makes us human, just exactly what Sue is talking about is what is your story? What is the common thread that runs through being a human? If we could turn that bus around and start looking at it from that angle, I think there would be a lot more conversation going. I think there'd be a lot more sharing that would be deeper. I'd love to see that happen in our society because I'm sad the way things stand right now.
Yeah, me too.
So, Sage, talk to me a little bit about your process, because you have really incorporated everything. I want to be everyone in your life, and so people can see it because of your performing artistry, but you're also a researcher.
Yes.
And then you write poetry and perform poetry and books. So is it different each time that something tickles your interest that you dive into, or is it a poem that starts, or a word? Can you dissect that a little for us?
That's a good question. I have to think about that. We have family time. My husband and my daughter and I are all very close. We also work together as an artist collective. And every night we have this shared time where I kind of feel like I have a performance of my day, and then my mission is kind of to make them laugh. So they'll ask me about my day, and I tell them about the adventures. So sometimes it starts there, because if I get a really good laugh, I'm like, okay, there's something here. Let me work on that. But most days I wake up, like I don't have an alarm clock. I wake up with what a lot of writers call a download. I don't know if you've ever heard this term. So I wake up and I can't get to my keyboard quickly enough I have something is just there. It's a whole idea, or it's an entire poem. It's all there. And I just need to quickly write it down. I don't know if it's a dream. I mean, because it can happen if I'm in the shower or just walking. Yeah, something doing the dishes, something on automatic pilot. The brain rests in a very specific way. So there's that aspect. And then when it comes to one of those two things will give me the idea, or I see something, read something in the news. And then comes the research of, now how will I do this? And then I take long walks every day I have a genetic condition. So I need to move my body. Otherwise it gets stiff and goes into spasms. And when I'm on those walks, that I try to relax my brain and just say, how can I make this funny? Or how can I make this poignant? Or who's going to speak here? And which character is going to say what? And what I've been really focused on for this show is our human imperfection and our hypocrisy. Like what I really want to do is make us laugh at ourselves, our own, just to not pick on one political group, versus the other, but more so of where are the hypocrisy? Sometimes people pointing a finger at someone, that saying, if you point a finger at one person, you got three pointing back at you.
Yeah. That reminds me almost of, well, like you say, Carol Burnett and, Jonathan Winters and some of those, people that are just, that's what they do. They really are making fun of their foibles and they look at the mirror and go, oh my God.
Exactly.
That's fabulous. I love that. It's true of artists. It's true of people that aren't doing their art that should be, but that download, it's like an openness in your spirit that talks to you and you're listening.
Yes.
So good for you. Good for you.
Thank you. Yeah.
fascinated. I'm fascinated.
How about you? Tell me about your creative processes.
Well, I have, like I said, I've been in theater. I've been a songwriter. I was a worship leader for years. So songs come to me, and that's, the song will come to me, and and then I think the past few years, not really, well, I played the guitar. I was trying to learn the violin a couple of years ago, so I like to do that. Before my voice got crackly, I used to sing. And so lots of things, all my whole life, some sort of art. But I believe teaching is an art.
Oh, yes.
Listening and teaching and communicating effectively and bringing that spark out in other people, Sandy, how about you? Tell us about you and your process in art.
Well, I have been a piano player. I played for our praise team at our church too, and did a lot of that kind of thing, and actually sang too back in the day. I love children's literature. I love being able to make something take a book or a story and just develop it so that kids just are in awe of what I'm trying to tell them as far as they're hearing it and they're able to participate. I've enjoyed decorating many houses in my lifetime, and one of the things that I find with decorating is that I will find one focused thing. For instance, a chair that I love, and then I'll take that and I'll let that be my palette for adding the colors to the walls and pictures and that kind of thing, so that it's a fun. I build it out and make it bigger. So that works better for me than trying to take it all. I'm not probably a global thinker as far as looking at the whole thing and trying to figure it out. I think I have to start out with a smaller piece and let it build from there. But
Beautiful.
I've loved life. I've worked in early childhood education, so I always got to be a kid, even when my staff. It needed to be fun, and soon I used to talk about that. Learning be effective, it's got to be fun and engaging, whether it's a little kid or whether it's an adult.
Yeah.
And I love
That's
doing
true.
that. I love coming up with some cool stuff and
Yeah.
you're doing the research. It's one of those things where telling me about this flower pot and how you did filler. So you would have a bigger plant, and then you would do the fill in, and then you let some spill over the side. And so I actually made that into a training with my staff at the beginning of the year and got them all pots and flowers to choose from and stuff. And talk you're going to do when you're your kids. What is going to be the filler? What's going to be the spiller? And making it work so that they were actually engaging in the process and walking away. You don't forget that when you have something that's taking right brain, left brain. And that was one of the a successful thing that I really enjoyed doing, because we were having fun, and we had pots everywhere, and we're doing dirt, and we're doing the whole 9 yards. And it's like hands-on learning, which we know is one of the best ways of going.
Well, and art,
Wonderful.
as we're talking about this, it's really about taking that little kernel and expanding it.
Yeah.
And then it really becomes my life. People need to learn how to be themselves and blossom, not just stay in that tight little bud and not tell anyone. And that's what you're doing. And I'm sure that people are being inspired by it. I'm inspired by it.
Oh, thank you.
I would love to see you, Sage. If there was any way you could send us one of your performances, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, thank you. There is a 5-minute clip of the last show, and it's on my YouTube channel, which I think is Sage Justice, or Sage Words, Almost Everything You Need to Know. I'm not sure. Sorry, I should know this. I'll happily send you a link. I'd love, because I have, it's not something I put a lot of focus on, so I would love to have more people coming over to the channel. I'd love to do more for it. Mm-hmm. The work that we do as an artist collective which we call ourselves Souljourners. And we have a project called the Unity Project. And what we're wanting to do is fuse activism with the arts. And so some of my focus has been so much on activism, like particularly, again, always trying to find the bridge, the balance of how do we have more gun safety while still protecting the Second Amendment, so that where's the bridge that everyone can stand on.
Where you can
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, so that's been a focus, but it's been mostly activism, and I don't know yet how to turn that into art, that particular one, but maybe there'll just be a little sprinkling of it in the next show. I did read yesterday a performer, and I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, but the name of his show is called Guac, Guac. And I think he's a one-man performer, does a similar thing. And I think from just briefly reading about it that his son passed away from gun violence. And so he was inspired to do a whole show about it. So I'm curious to see his show. But one of the things that I've been proposing, because everything is always, my desire is always, how can we fix this problem and use art, to do it and to get people inspired and engaged, to galvanize the community.
Yeah,
I've never understood, I guess I understood, but I don't know that I've agreed with the model that we have in society of electing officials and thinking that our civic duty ends at just voting. That I think we are the ones who have to make things happen. That Margaret Mead quote, never doubt that a thoughtful group of committed citizens can change the world. It's the only thing that ever has. So anyway, this idea is to create a DMV for guns. So you have to, I'm calling it Department of Firearm Education, so a DFE. And so the concept, the idea is that the government only has to regulate the manufacturer. Then the manufacturer, to not be held accountable for the death, they have to require every gun user to be insured. And part of the insurance process is a screening process. And the screening process we would know the psychological profile. We would know what guns, how many guns, like our cars. If we have a small car, it's, an affordable insurance. If we have a big, semi truck, maybe the insurance is more, rifle versus handgun. And safety courses. And just like we have to have driver's ed, we'd have, gun education, et cetera, et cetera. And so my idea is it would be like a trickle down effect. If the government, so then you would be, in this way, it would serve conservatives would feel like they want less government. So the government is only managing the manufacturer. Right. Then the manufacturer is managing the insurance company. Having insurance, very capitalistic, for our American society. So that takes care of the screening process, because the insurance doesn't want to be held accountable and the manufacturer doesn't want to be held accountable. So then they're going to work more, because right now our government is making money from gun violence. They earn money. The gun sales go up, and 51% of our US government on both sides of the aisle have stock in firearms. And so every time there's a mass shooting, more people buy guns, they get more. So there's so many areas where we have to take responsibility, like you're
flattening the accountability.
Yeah.
It basically comes down to the individual who, in our system that, is only happening up here, there's no accountability. That's very, and as you talk about blending activism with art, improv jumps out at me.
Yes.
Because, and I don't know how you would, although that there would be some sort of a, you'd have to do some sort of a debrief about what people took away, because, improv can go almost any way, but it might pop out, diverse opinions might pop out in some of the, the way that people reacted and talked to each other. So
That's a great point too. If you could do yes and. So let's say someone conservative says, well, guns aren't the problem, it's people are the problem. And then somebody who's liberal would say, okay, but why are you giving the problem guns? Then if you think that, and
Yeah,
just let them do a yes and, yes and, yes
yeah,
and.
and not yeah, and if people got into name calling, then they can call them back on it, not
Yeah,
just shrink back and that type of thing. And but then you kind of ruin improv if you get too descriptive. So
that's
uh,
true.
you might have to have a facilitator.
Yeah. Or the intention to make someone laugh. So if you're saying,
Yeah,
okay, you can do this, but make sure, what are you going to do to make them laugh at the end of it?
there you go.
Right.
Even if it was a non sequitur, silly
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
just to keep the energy light. But that was, I guess I kind of went off on that story. Sorry to, my brain is working crosswires. Just to share that, again, this intention, it was art. I just was upset and frustrated one day. I think this was 2015, 2017. I can't remember the exact year. And where I wrote an article for Blunt Moms where I laid this out. And then it took a few years to get it to Congress. But once we did, they did change some laws in San Diego of requiring gun insurance. And now they are pursuing that for all of California and New York. And, but again, like I said, there's always this conflict of interest because of the financial, yeah.
But again, you with your goal of building the bridge,
Yeah.
what both sides have their validity, and how can we come together on common ground and respect each other?
Yes.
So, yeah. So well, you sort of talked about your what next. You have another what next in the back of your head.
Oh, yeah.
Downloaded.
Have this. This
Oh,
is, oh my gosh.
after work.
Oh my! Oh my goodness!
That was just
Oh,
the in September.
that's impressive!
Thank you. So
Wow,
I,
you had a lot of downloads, Sage.
exactly. So there's out of that, I will probably cut that down to a fourth of this.
Mhm.
And then from that, I'm hoping to create a couple chap books, which are like small little poetry books that have a specific theme.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of the
Okay.
next project. And but I'm always, reaching out to, for fellowships and scholarships and grants and prizes, because that's how you kind of have to fund yourself as an artist. And of course, a mainstream publishing deal instead of just doing things on my own would also be nice. The world has really changed over the years. It used to be, if you were a writer, you just wrote your book and maybe you did a few public appearances and book signings, but now you have to have a big following. You are expected to do all this marketing, and it's a lot more work.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah.
think you can be the creator and the editor at the same time.
That's
You know.
hard. We have a gal. I don't know if you watched any of her podcasts. Her name's Mishkat Al Momin, and she is publishing a book. And but all the people that she reached out to in this community and others said self-publish.
Really?
And it's tough. I mean, you can, and so that's what she's working on. But we have a couple people that have done some publishing, and they were just saying that it doesn't seem easier, but it's easier to self-publish because there's not as many hoops to jump through.
Yeah.
But she also is going to come on probably in a month or so, and she's going to teach us a little mini class on how to write a grant and fund the work we're doing.
Good.
So we'll make sure that you're on, you subscribe so you'll know. But she's a fascinating lady, and she's the gal who has her website is The Communication of Success, and it's all about listening.
Okay.
She grew up in war-torn Lebanon. So her stories that's where she kind of brings out in her book. That's what her new book's going to be about. But
Yeah.
anyway, oh, you are so fascinating.
Oh,
You promised to come back, and you
oh,
come back. Either you can do a little clip and we'll watch you, or you can, we'll have you come back and update
I'd
us.
love to see that. I'd love to see that.
oh, well, thank you. Well, feel free. I'll
Awesome.
send you the link to the video. Feel
Yeah.
free to put it into this podcast if you want, so
Yeah.
that the audience can just watch it or whatever is
That would be
easiest.
really a cool idea.
What
I
I'll
like
try
that.
to do is I'll try to just put it on my post. I don't know if I know how to put it in the podcast. I'm working on getting the music to work.
Well, you're doing a great job.
Yeah, well, thank you. We're learning as we go. Our brains are getting bigger, and different cavities are forming.
Well, you have the most important skill, which is curiosity.
Well, thank you, and you do too. And we're all three of us artists. One thing I wanted to say about Sandy is she was talking about taking her object, and she's a great decorator, but she's a better community builder. This girl knows how to connect with people and build community, and I can do it too, but she I don't even think she knows how well she does it, but she's really a good connector.
That's a
And
wonderful skill.
part of being a great leader is a connector, and it's all about relationships.
Yes.
It really is. That's the key to building that bridge and having it be steady and not break apart.
Yes.
So we always end our time together with what's one takeaway. So Sage, what's one takeaway from today's conversation for you?
Oh, I have a lot of takeaways. I think just seeing the leadership in each of you, seeing the leadership, the talent, the artistry, the creativity, the curiosity in every person, it's very hard for me to see us all as separate. I truly believe in oneness. So when I look into your beautiful faces, you're, smiling, you have all this joy of life, and listening to you and your experiences, I see the expansiveness of who you are and how you're sharing that with the world, sharing your gifts with the world, and sparking that fire inside of other people, so that it just keeps getting reflected back to you and growing into this beautiful light. So that's my big takeaway.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sandy, what's your takeaway?
Well, I love the idea of teaching through creativity. It's something that I have believed in, and I love, Sage, how you are making it happen for audiences all over the world. And I think that's awesome that you have a mission, because there's certainly enough people out there that are making it divisive. I think there needs to be a voice. I think we need to use our voice to, again, like I said, find our commonality and realize that it does not have to be either or. It can be both.
And yeah, definitely. I am inspired by how you bring it all together.
Oh,
You
yeah.
take all the components of artistry and bring it together, weaving each important part. And I'm going to continue to explore improv.
yeah.
And I would love more input. I've only written one article on improv, and like I said, I'm going to head into I'm going to do music improv next and blend it with leadership. But
I love that. You might want a woman named Betsy Salkind. She's a good friend of mine. She's a comic. She does a leadership course with improv.
oh,
And,
Oh, fun.
would
Did
yeah.
you really?
did she come on the podcast, our podcast?
I don't know, but I'll ask her.
Yeah, or just give me an invite.
Yes.
It's on LinkedIn or what. But I'll tickle her with
Yeah.
love to have her on. That'd be awesome.
She's brilliant. She's a brilliant genius. And her stuff is just, she's just next level, but an amazing, incredible talent, and very kind, like you both, and very present.
Well, and it's great how this network just, we keep connecting with other like-minded people that want the same thing.
Yeah.
That's the way that the synchronicity is great.
You make me feel less alone in the world, knowing that you both care and want this bridge. And it's it's making me emotional. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Well, we're
Oh,
grateful to you
good.
as well. And we're
Yeah.
here for you. You know, anytime you want to talk through something or whatever, we don't have to do it on the podcast. But we're here. Thank you so much, Sage.
Thank you.
You, Sage. It was lovely meeting you.
I'm going
You
to stop
too.
our recording. Yes, I'm going to stop our recording, but hang on because we do a little debrief afterwards.
Okay.
Thanks.